Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our roundtable. My name is Ellen Larson, and I am the Associate Director for the Center for the Art of East Asia, and I am pleased to welcome you all to Bridging Worlds Roundtable on Innovation in Chinese Museum Education Practices. So today's event is offering insights into how museums in China are rapidly evolving to cultural, educational, and technological landscapes, reflecting on transnational practices in curation, education, and institutional development. This program will offer dialogue between Chinese museum institutions, as well as our University of Chicago community and local museum affiliates. So before we begin, I would just like to remind everyone to mark your calendars for Saturday, May 24th, where our center will be hosting another event right here in this space titled Digitization of Chinese Art and Museum Practices in North America. This curator forum will invite colleagues from several institutions, including the Royal Ontario Museum, the Nelson Atkins Museum, the Asian Art Museum of San Francisco, the Field Museum right here in Chicago, of course, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, MFA Boston, and finally, last but not least, the Art Institute of Chicago. So now I would like to invite UChicago professor and Dispersed Chinese Art Digitization Project leader, Professor ZHONG Ling, to introduce a bit more about our program today. Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you. First of all, I just want to kind of, on behalf of the center, I want to welcome all these Chinese museum delegates for your visit today. And then this is actually, we start preparing this event by having the conversation with the Pritzker or the collaborative. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, the David Pritzker and also Zhang Lu, who is I can't remember the title of her of Zhang Lu, but she is the person who kind of help connecting all the museums with the University of Chicago before, but she is right now in China, so she's not able to come over here. But we are happy to show this reception and also organizing this roundtable discussion. So as a venue, so we can all kind of share our the museum practices, and also we want to share the work that the center has in conjunction with kind of collaborating with museums. So a couple of things I want to say. I know a lot of people are hoping to see Professor Wu Hong, and then unfortunately Professor Wu hurt his knees and then pretty badly, and he is not able to move out of his place. So he wants to say hi to all these our friends who are here, and also all our guests here who are here, but he will not be present today. And then so hopefully, but but I think he really hopes that this event can maximize its effects. We want to know each other, and then want to know about your museums, and then the kind of work that you do, and also want to share what we have done already for the center. So speaking about the center's work, so I think most of people know that the center has a digital humanities initiatives. It's called Dispersed Chinese Art Digitization Projects. It's called DCADP. That's kind of the way that we call it. And we started, actually the digital project started from 2007. The center itself funded even earlier, I think 2003, the center was funded. And then very soon, the center really wanted to engage digital humanities by scanning the dispersed artifacts. So we start from doing the two pioneer or the pilot, the projects. One is about Xiangtangshan's sculpture, the other one is about Tianlongshan's. And then a few years ago, starting from 2020, we got a generous funding from the Cyrus Tong Foundation, which is based in Chicago as well. And then, but used to be here, but right now the headquarters moved over to Las Vegas. But we established this relationship with them, and then they have since then sponsor our digital projects, and it has been, I know, the fourth year already or so. So under this broader kind of umbrella term, DCADP, we have been able to kind of elevate the level of our the endeavor, and also kind of enhance the results. And then thus far, we have done a couple projects. One is related to the Zihua Temple project. The Zihua Temple is still standing in China. And the other one is related to the Beyond Central Cave. But in any case, later on, we will have a presentation to talk about that. But that's kind of the major kind of endeavor that we have been doing, with the digital humanities. And then I think today we talk about the innovative ways of engaging or kind of doing the museum practices. And then I think that we would love to kind of share our experiences with you. And then also because of project, we've been working with other museums in the United States, in Europe as well. And then, a few years ago, we also started working with the museums in China. So I hope this is just kind of the beginning of this conversation. And then in the future, hopefully, we'll be able to work with all the museums that, all the Chinese delegates will present, right here in this venue. All right, so and then just before, so today we will have a few presentations, and then including our centers, and then after all the presentations, then we will open up the floor. I know, if you look around, you can see there's a lot of we not only in addition to the Chinese delegates, we also have the museum people from Chicago, and then also we have the faculty members from our university, and also our grad students as well. And then so I think it's great that we're able to kind of convene these people together, and I hope we can have more discussion, not only in Roundtable but also afterwards. And so I want to kind of introduce. I think there's a time to introduce all our Chinese delegates, but I'm gonna kind of hand the microphone to another person. So I want to introduce the Secretary Deputy of Chinese Museum Association, Grace Ai. So, and then I'm gonna hand this microphone to her, and then have her to introduce herself, and also as well as the other delegates right here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I will be the one to introduce our colleagues here. I will start from there. These two young ladies are from Shandong Provincial Museum and Three Gorges Museum in Chongqing, two very important and big museums in China. But right now they have another, let's say, identities, because they are right now working in the Field Museum as fellows, because from Chinese Museum Association, we kind of work with the Tencent Foundation by supporting them for a 10 months program to study from the Field Museum. Thanks to the Field Museum for taking them. Okay, she's from Sichuan Provincial Museum, working with our vice director from Sichuan Provincial Museum, one of our presenter, Ms. ZHONG Ling over there. So two of them are from Sichuan Provincial Museum. And the lady beside her is Dr. Jiajia Wang from University of Pennsylvania. Welcome. Okay, from here, I would like to start from here. She's Liu Xiao, the director of Xi'an Wadang Museum, kind of a private museum in Xi'an province, in Xi'an city. Okay, the other two ladies work with me from Chinese Museum Association. This is our team. It's originally, it should be larger than right now, but as everyone knows about the circumstances between these two countries, we kind of attending the AAI meetings several days before in Los Angeles. So it's we have been working with the Pritzker Art Collaborative by thinking about, since we are here, it will be quite supportive for local museum communities and universities working with us again to find some potential project, or we have some communications so that we can work together. So that's why we are here. Okay, so shall we start from one? Okay.
So I would like to begin by once again welcoming Grace Ai. By way of introduction, Grace Ai is a researcher at the Curatorial Department of Beijing Luxun Museum and Deputy Secretary General of ICOM-China. She will present Bridging Cultures Through Museum Communication, Innovative Practices in Chinese Museums Today. Drawing on her broad experience in National Museum assessments and editorial leadership, Ai highlights recent communication strategies in Chinese museums, from digital engagement to community-centered programming. All of these are reshaping how museums connect with audiences across cultural and geographic boundaries. Please join me in welcoming Grace.
Okay, let's stay here. Okay. Okay. Okay, everyone. So I will be the one who is giving all those background informations. Since we are having two extraordinary museums representative here, I will leave more times with them by giving all those cases. Okay, so I will start from the background information about all the museums in China. Right now we have almost 7,000 museums in China. So not like the US museums every year, especially in the International Museum Day. That is the day we release the whole data of the whole year. Last year in the May 18th, we have those numbers. More than 40,000 exhibitions and 380 educational program, and the visits are kind of huge. And we have different type of museums in China. We can categorize it into different kinds of ways. The first is that we can put it into public or non-public. We have 33% of them are private museum. So here, Liu Xiao from Xi'an Wadang Museum are one of them. Okay, we have another categories is dividing all those museums basing on their contents. So we call it comprehensive museum. For just like Sichuan Provincial Museum, it's kind of like those comprehensive museum. That means they have everything, including the archaeological relics or those kind of objects from the other species or something like that. And we also have site museums, natural history museums. And another way to classify all those museums in China is that we have, just like AAM, American Museums of Alliance, we have those kind of national accredited museum level ABC. And for the others who has attended this program but failed to get a rate, so we call it non-accredited museum. I will talk about it later. So in China, like those kind of comprehensive museum I mentioned previously, they are all run by the central government and supported by the central government. So every year they supported a lot. I have put the numbers into US dollar. So every year it's about 483 million US dollar that they put into the program by supporting for free admission. But before that, we do not have so many support. For the dark blue ones are the ones for the left image. 91% of them are open to public for free. And for the others, most of them are site museums and private museum. They still charge because they need to operate. And we have those museum assessment program basing on the regulations on museums. So we started that from 2008. Just as I mentioned, it's not all of them are accredited museum. But why we are doing that is because we need them to improve of their not only the infrastructure and for how will they be able to have diversified collections. And when they are trying to train their staff, they will have a way to have a kind of growing talented team. And if they want to improve their services, they will have a way to do it. So because my major is journalism, so I was taking the whole process of museum as a media, because I think based on some series of communications, if we take museum into a media, that will be very easy to move forward. For example, like what we get from the dictionary of museology that was published by ICOM, we can find the communication refers to any progress of information exchange between two social objects. So we called it, I put it into a two-way and interactive. So in fact, I say communication is a two-way flow of information and knowledge in a shared sense. And that is the definition. I put it into a chart. So something under the line will be related in the museum. Before that, it's before somebody enter into a museum. So it's include website of a museum, social media. And when some people enter into a museum, so communication includes the science facilities, brochures, everything. And the pink one is the permanent or temporary exhibitions. And the other things will be activities, products, and publications. So in China, for example, like those comprehensive museums, like or even the largest site museums, the Palace Museum, and another one, Shanxi History Museum, they have extraordinary website by giving everything that can attract people. Like Shanghai Museum, they have all those media that attract, let me see, there's numbers. Yeah, over 2 billion active user per month. And yeah, here is 3 users from India, American, Brazil. And when you get into the website, it's just everything they will offer. And when you step into a museum, right now, we just like Jay have mentioned, that's something we learned from our American colleagues, because right now we are focusing on museum for all people. So we are collaborating with them about this accessibility program. That's we work with the UNESCO together. Yeah, when we step into the museum, we have all those information about everything. And here is the number of the exhibition. Oh. Every year in the International Museum Day, we will release the top 10 exhibitions in that day. And in the coming days, we will have 2 days evaluation team by asking the curators to present for their own exhibitions. And after the 2 days program, we'll finally decide to attend top exhibitions. And everyone must be familiar with this. From 50 years ago, we are trying to send exhibitions abroad. And right now we have some data. In recent 10 years, we have more than 300 traveling exhibitions in other countries. It's everywhere. And we've just learned in LA that the Terracotta Museum will send their collections and exhibitions over in the coming in the end of this month. Yeah, we have a lot of Terracotta Warriors exhibitions in America, as far as I learned. But like Jay has encouraged us, we would like to have more exhibitions invited over to our city museums or comprehensive museum. It must be welcomed by everyone, because it's very rare to see those American artworks in China. And not only we invited all those, we sending exhibitions out, we also invited exhibitions in. We also trying to curate some exhibitions by ourselves. This is one of them. And this is another one. We held I think it's last year, the Palace Museum worked with the Palace of Versailles. It's kind of constructed, how to say, one is the Palace of the ancient China, one is the Palace of French. It's just kind of interesting to our audiences. And this one. So it's a lot of artworks from the European countries, especially. And for this one, it's very popular this year in Shanghai. It's not only attract the audiences in Shanghai, but attracts everyone in China. Yeah, this is from one of our city museums, Suzhou Museum. They've been working with the British Museum and trying to build a gallery which holds the British exhibitions every year. And when we talk about communication, I would like to give a case about those interactive programs. In Chinese art, Chinese craft museum, they have those kind of pattern program, which they have from the collections that you can make your own T-shirt or something. So we can identify the pattern, scan the picture, get the pattern, and have everything about the pattern. And finally, you can get the T-shirt back home. It's a kind of communication that was welcomed. And we have those kind of growing resource of digital program. That is one of our digital program that use AI. This is another one in the National Museum of China. They have all those patterns from objects, but when you are using AI, you can kind of make your own screen about everything, videos about it. It's kind of an artistic display, not only focusing on the object itself, but it's short, so I didn't put everything in. And we are using this kind of AI technology to analyze the flow of visitors in different objects. This is a kind of communication.
OK，
Okay, we also have those kind of smart guide. Unlike our museum counterpart in America, because we have just communicated with Getty, they do not think to have those kind of separate video guide for the audiences is a must. So, but in China, you know, we have a lot of audiences, visitors, so it's better for us to give them something that they can they can read, because not everyone understand an exhibition correctly. I mean, what I mean correctly is that we should have the correct base information about everything. So we have those kind of smart guide that was welcomed by children. And we also have some activities for youth, for children, and for the communities. Oh, it can move. I didn't. Okay, that is that part for education activities. Do I have enough time to press? Okay, so we have all those museum products. That is because we have just attended the AAM meeting. That was part of the feedback I got, which is very different from our museum, because in our museum, they are very talented or creative on those museum shops. For example, like here in Shanghai History Museum, They call it the museum shop is the final gallery of the museum. So they put everything, but they may have a different department in their museum to help develop those or design all those collections in the museum shop, which sells very good. Yeah, like this one, like this one. I've brought some, which I can share you later. For example, like this one is not expensive. It's refrigerator magnetic. It only sells for 20 RMB, but it sells a lot. Everyone love it because it's lovely. Yeah, like this one. Yeah, like this tea pot. It's tea bag. Yeah, a brief view of the practices of museum communication in China. So what we get from our visitors, I will give you some examples about that. For example, we have it from social media because our visitors, we have a lot. Some of them are quite, some of them are quite active in those social media. And we have audience survey, we have visitors message book. We can see that one of them are quite good. For example, like the Suzhou Museum, this is their visitor survey report. And basing on that, after the analysis all this data, they found the audiences are women. So all the museum products they produce are basing on those profile. So that's very targeted. And one case is the collection of internet celebrity museum before they have those, let's say, incident from someone's posting the information about this collection, because they saw this Buddha is quite, how to say that, they kind of reflect people's way of thinking about the current life. So it's become quite famous. It's become from two that you can see in 2022. Normal for their regular visitor is about this, and after this event, it's come to be very close to 3 million, I think. So I think this is all about this museum, and all of our other museums are taking communication very seriously. No matter what they do, they are quite focused on how to engaging, how to give people more experiences about everything. I will leave the time to our two museum leaders from two extraordinary museums. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Slideshow. I will just put it here. Some technical people will change. Check.
So next, I would like to welcome Liu Xiao, who's the executive director of the Xi'an Tile Art Museum. Liu Xiao will offer a dynamic case study in the presentation Viewing the World from the Eastern Eaves, a non-state-owned museum's journey through cultural breakthroughs. Please join me in welcoming Liu Xiao. Oh.
OK，那个，各位下午好，我是刘晓，我来自西安瓦登艺术博物馆。我们馆呢在西安，我们先给大家看一下 文馆在哪儿？因为可能对于大家来讲会比较陌生。如图所示，我们的博物馆呢，其实是在一座这样唐式的一座城墙建筑内。因为西安是有3000多年历史的城市，然后它也是13个朝代的古都，所以它有非常多的历史遗迹。而我们的博物馆呢，就处在这个唐代的城墙遗址建筑内。然后，我要介绍一下我们博物馆的藏品。我们博物馆呢，全名是叫西安瓦当艺术博物馆，所以我们博物馆其实是以保藏和研究瓦当艺术为主的一座专题性的微型的一个博物馆。也许在座的各位会有比较了解瓦当是什么的，但是我还是简单的去对它做一个阐述。瓦当呢，是我们中国古代建筑上面非常重要的一个建筑构件。它可能对大家来说既熟悉又陌生。它是位于屋檐最前面的顶端，用于保护屋檐筒瓦不受损害，然后呢，保护我们的船头不受屋檐的这个船木不受风雨的侵蚀。那作为中国古代历经几千年来这么重要的一个构件呢，它有非常丰富的演变历史。那通过它的丰富的变化呢，实际上是阐述了我们中国历代以来的一些就是生活风貌，包括我们的一些建筑的一个发展变化。首先，我们看一看最早在中国就是发现的瓦当呢，是出现在西周时期。最早期的瓦当它是素面的，没有什么样的纹饰，或者说是到春秋时代的时候，它会有一些简单的几何纹样。再到战国时期，它就开始有一些比较多丰富的纹饰了。但是战国因为它有很多个诸侯国，每个诸侯国都有营造自己宫殿的需求，所以呢会出现一些不同的根据地域地貌而演变出来的纹样。比如说，中国的齐国在现在山东的这个位置，他们呢是以农耕文明为主，所以就在我们的右下角的位置会看到它的瓦当会有一些山川树木的痕迹在里面。然后燕国在我们现在河北，也就是说差不多是北京这个位置，他们呢还是崇尚一些就是神兽，所以你会看到它的瓦当还有一些饕餮纹在我们的左下角这个位置。那与此同时呢，秦代。我应该是秦国战国的秦国时期，秦国时期他们是游牧文化为主，所以会在他们的瓦当上看到比较多的奔跑的走兽。等到我们到了秦代，也就是说秦代一统六国，就是我们中国迎来了第一次大一统的时代的时候，它的建筑就变得规范，而它的瓦当的纹饰也变得比较规矩。那同时呢，为了就是展示就是我们中央集权的威严性。它会出现非常大的尺寸的瓦当，我们把它叫瓦当王。我们右下角会看到它直径几乎是超过了50厘米，非常大。汉代呢，差不多迎来了我们瓦当最辉煌的发展时期，因为这个时候与此同时还出现了文字瓦当。那文字瓦当的出现呢，极大的丰富了瓦当人们赋予瓦当的意义。我们很多就是统治者会在瓦当上面刻画自己对这个王朝、对这个宫殿的祝福。从唐以后呢，就是随着一些宗教艺术的影响，到隋唐时期的话，会出现一些与佛教相关的瓦当纹饰。再到唐以后，瓦当在屋檐上的人们赋予它的意义已经变得比较微弱了，所以这个时候不管是从形制上面，还是从它的纹饰上面，已经变得比较普通，而且也走进了我们普通民众建筑的屋檐上面。一直到我们右边的这个是明清时期，可能这个大家比较熟悉，因为它是故宫上面的。故宫上面，明清时期的话开始大量使用琉璃瓦当。我们现在可能会在北京的一些宫殿上面看到诸如蓝色呀或者黄色的琉璃瓦当。OK，我简单的去阐述了一下瓦当的一个纹样的发展历史。那我们博物馆呢，除了收藏以中国历代瓦当为主的藏品以外呢，我们其实还收藏与瓦当艺术相关的各种藏品，包括 还有国外的，当然我们是要，全世界都是有房屋建筑，然后那全世界都是有屋顶的，那屋顶都有类似于，像瓦当一样的构件存在。那在国际上，可能我们对这样子的装饰品都叫瓦岩式。我们博物馆呢还收藏了像有伊特鲁里亚时期的瓦岩石和一些古希腊和古罗马时期的瓦岩石。瓦当其实对我们的后世的影响是非常深刻的，只是对于民众来讲的话，它好像似乎比较陌生，但实际上它已经出现在我们身边很久了。比如说，我看到我们的就是芝加哥就是亚洲艺术中心的那个文件上面，你会看到那个就是朱雀纹，朱雀纹也是瓦当上的纹饰。那瓦当因为对后世的金石篆刻书法都有非常深刻的了解，而且它纹饰呢也比较受欢迎。虽然它在屋檐上的意义比较微弱了，但是它在器物上面，在符号纹样上面的影响还是非常深远的。比如说我们的在民国时期非常多的大学的校徽。它的设计灵感就来自于瓦当，尤其是北大。北大这个当时是鲁迅先生根据寓意的这个瓦当的线条形状，然后去设计的。那我们刚才我也有说，就是瓦当实际上它虽然是非常的小众，或者说是它是非常一个就是比较另类的一个小门类，但是它对我们的考古学。我们的金石学，还有包括我们的后世的一些工艺美术，尤其是对后世的书法篆刻影响是非常深刻的。那像我们刚才艾老师有提到，就是我们中国博物馆门类里面有一个非常重要的一个门类是考古博物馆。考古博物馆的话，我们因为中国的古代的建筑在唐以前基本上是湮灭了，好多时候我们需要通过一些城池考来对我们古代已经覆灭的这些宫殿去做一些准确的一些阐述或者定位。那很多时候在这个宫殿遗址挖出来的瓦当，基本上相当于是这个宫殿的身份证，能最终确定这个宫殿是什么名字，然后它是它的最终的这个身份的确认。与此同时呢，我们博物馆在研究方向也把瓦当分成了差不多2个方向。第一个呢，其实就是建筑方向，因为瓦当它是属于建筑里面的比例构件。如果说我们能根据不同朝代的瓦当的大小、比例、它的纹饰，能差不多就是推导出来这个建筑的形制、位置，还有包括它的一个大概的一个形态样貌。所以呢，我们的建筑方向是我们很重要的研究方向。那与此同时呢，我们还有一个重要的方向是符号方向。符号方向的话，我们想要把瓦当几千年来演变的这样纹饰去做一个非常清晰的一个整理，然后和描述。但是呢，问题就来了，因为刚才艾老师也提到过，说我们中国现在是是有两大类型的博物馆，一个是非国有，一个是国有博物馆。而我来自于非国有博物馆，中国的非国有博物馆，体量差不多占总量的是30%左右，我们是相当于是少数。而在这个少数的中间呢，我们的运营实际上是遇到比较大的困难，跟美国的博物馆的情况可能正好相反。因为这样的情况的话，我们在研究，包括我们去做各种不同的教育工作的话，就会有一定的阻碍。我们在资金的筹措上面，我们在资源的获取或者是利用上面，都会面临不小的难题。而与此同时呢，瓦当对我们的各种的学科，还包括各种的文化艺术都有深刻的影响。可是民众对瓦当的了解却非常的少，这也是我们迫切的筹建了这个博物馆的初衷。那刚才我们说了有2个方向，一个是建筑方向，一个是符号方向。我想今天着重的分享一下我们在符号方向的一些就是研究和我们的一些运用。因为民众对于瓦当这个门类，有的人知道，就比如我们看到4神的纹饰以后，就觉得很亲切，都看到过，或者然后但不知道它是来自于瓦当。那我们就在想，我们如何把这样一个看起来有点枯燥或者是深刻的一个研究的方向，轻巧的构建一个比较轻松的一个新的一个世界，然后来去打开我们和观众的一个沟通。这也是刚才艾老师说的，就是我们博物馆可能在公共教育上面最主要的是沟通。首先，先让我们民众去了解它是一个什么东西。 那我们把瓦当的纹饰呢全部都提炼了出来。你像它，其实我们刚才看到之前的那个各个朝代的瓦当纹饰是非常丰富的。我们提炼出来了以后呢，我举例给大家分享一下我们做了一些什么样的事情。首先呢，其实我们想把瓦当的纹饰跟我们生活当中的一些常见的器物去做结合。我们有一个小项目是从去年开启的，是想把瓦当的纹饰融入到中国传统纹样设计当中。大家可以从这个纹样上看到，它其实就是我们织锦的一种纹样，叫天华锦的一种纹样。而我们这个纹样呢，它是在我们在差不多应该是春分的时候去运用的。所以你看到我们去用了一些云纹瓦当，还有包括一些山纹瓦当，还有双河朝阳纹瓦当。我可以简单的去解释一下这个纹样的一个设计。我们不是仅仅只是把纹样拿出来做一个拼凑，然后形成一个表面的一个纹饰，而是我们把这个因为中国的很多纹饰纹样设计是有祝福和祈福的含义在里面的。那我们呢也是把这样的纹饰的含义和纹饰本身表面的这个纹路都提取出来，然后呢然后按照中国传统纹样设计的逻辑去设计出了新的纹样。那我们这些纹样的话，每一个都跟时间、节气和它所要传达的一些祝福的含义有关。我们差不多按照中国的24节气，去年一整年就设计了24个纹样，每一个纹样呢都代表就是在这个节气内，我们认为就是纹饰本身它要赋予的一些祝福的含义，和按照我们中国传统纹样的一个布局逻辑设计出来的。那现在我们已经跟四川的蜀锦研究院有合作，后续的话可能会要把这些布织出来，然后用于我们的纺织，还有就是或者说是这些东西也可以直接用到平面设计。那我们就会觉得这些东西我们是实实在在的把我们的研究的内容。就是带到了大家日常生活当中来，去缩短我们跟就是这种高古的这种文化的一个沟通的距离。那与此同时，我们还有更轻巧的办法，就是我们大家会看到，就是这个呢也是瓦当的一种。瓦当真的有非常多的种类，纹饰、纹样、动物的，还有包括这种很像人脸的，人面纹瓦当和兽面纹瓦当。那我们把不同的几个有代表特点的人面纹瓦当和兽面纹瓦当提取出来，我们做成了5个就是拟人的形象。那中国会习惯把它叫 IP 形象，就是就这种解释。然后这5个呢有各自的性格啊，每一个都会你们通过他的表情就能看到他们的性格是不一样的。那我们在这个过程当中还拎出来了一个概念叫陪伴，就是因为这些瓦当他们在屋檐上面历经了几千年的时间，他们其实是时间的见证者，也是历史的亲历者。那我们觉得瓦当可以代替我们博物馆的工作人员或者是教育者，来去向民众直接讲述他们所看到的或者经历的历史。那这个是我们提出来的一个概念。我们更多的是想在情绪上面给观众朋友们带来一个叫陪伴的感觉。那这个拟人的形象，我们如何说陪伴呢？首先，我们还做了这些他们这些在古画里面然后展示的一些场景，这个其实也跟24节气有关。我们会看到就是有吃饺子的，还有滑冰的，还有可能就是赏雪的，在下雪天，他们其实都是跟我们春夏秋冬不同的时间是有关系。他们在这些本来就代表着有季节含义的古代的绘画里面，然后呢，像就是我们把它的场景绘画进去。然后呢，就主要是想让这些东西我们也做了很多的视频啊，做了很多的视频，在我们的可能 YouTube 上面其实也是有的，大家可以看一下。主要是每到一个时间以后，我们想提醒用瓦当的这样的一个形象去提醒我们的就是观众，他就是就气候的变化和时间的流逝。那这个陪伴的含义呢，还包括什么？包括我们还做了非常多的文创产品，然后这些产品呢，你们会看到有一些很多是日常使用的。那这些日常使用的呢，这些带有情绪的，他们有表情的这样子的形象，然后陪伴在我们的生活的周围，也让我们觉得它也是跟 我们最后提出来的一个概念，就是它以前是在房屋的屋顶上面保护我们，那现在它在我们的身边也继续保护我们，或者说是在继续给我们讲述的历史。还有啊，这也是我们这个东西很受我们这个 IP 非常受欢迎。啊，那然后最后的最后，我想要去回归到我这次要跟大家分享的一个核心。这个核心呢，就是我们如何通过瓦当这样一个小小的体积的物件，然后把它的以小见大，以点见面，然后就是把它的不同维度的历史信息含义，然后分享出去，或者是沟通出去。那首先我这个我们会看到这上面有3个瓦当，这3个瓦当呢是汉代汉武帝他在修建一个宫殿的时候用的一个专有的瓦当，它主要是为了自己求福使用的一个宫殿。那我们看到这个宫殿上，看到这3枚瓦当，有一个是有一只飞翔的鸟，我们这是叫金乌。金乌，可能很多人知道它是代表太阳。然后呢，旁边呢有一个兔子和蟾蜍的一枚瓦当，这个是代表月亮。然后还看到有另外一个是写着我们中国的古代的文字的那个瓦当是叫怎么解释呢？叫一延寿，它的意思就是祈求永远的长寿。那永远的长寿其实是代表人。有一只鸟的这个瓦当呢是代表太阳，有兔子和蟾蜍的是代表月亮。那么它其实就是日月同辉、益寿延年的意思。这句话可能比较复杂，就是说它祈求我们的寿命和日月、太阳和月亮是一样的。那我们把这样子的祝福的这种素材全部提出来，提出来以后呢，我们做成了我们中国可能就是近几百年会比较流行的一种传统工艺，就中国的年画。我们也邀请了很多的工匠，然后去帮我们去把我们这些从瓦当纹饰上延伸出来的东西，去做成我们生活当中还会继续使用的这样子，也带有祝福含义的，就是我们的这些工艺品。那这个东西的话，就会让我们民众就会觉得，哎，这个瓦当的纹饰离我们的生活还很近，而不像刚才我们说这3枚瓦当是汉代的，离我们的时间可能还有点远。那与此同时，我们还有其他的其他的一种就是途径，就是我们会把这个一延寿这个祈求长寿的这枚瓦当的含义，我们甚至还会做成一个咖啡的杯子，然后我们的这杯咖啡它的名字就叫一延寿。就是这杯咖啡也是祈求长寿的意思，因为这个咖啡里边用到了就是红枣还有核桃。那红枣和核桃对于中国人就是吃医来讲，就是它比较可以延长我们的寿命。所以那这样的这种咖啡的话，它也是在我们生活当中，我们的博物馆是有咖啡馆的。而我们会用这样子的一杯咖啡去做一个小小的活动。那这个活动的话，我们就会以讲座的形式，让观众朋友们品尝我们的咖啡的同时呢，去听我们的博物馆的工作人员去给他们讲。从汉代开始，我们是如何去寻求长寿的秘诀，和一直到现在，我们如何把我们从汉代开始关于长寿的祝福传递到我们手上所拿到的这杯咖啡上面。所以，我们通过很多不同的维度的就是延展，然后来拉近我们跟观众之间的沟通，然后把这样一个我们觉得比较深刻的历史的话题，或者我们研究的东西虽然很深刻，可是我们依然以一个非常轻巧的、轻松的一个叙述方式去传达出来。我就这个一延寿这个瓦当是我分享的一个小小的点。我们在生活当中有很多就是这样的方式去传达我们的理念。我的分享就到这里了，谢谢大家。那我希望就是因为我是用中文去讲述的，这里面可能会有一些翻译上面的差别，我希望佳佳老师帮我补充一下。应该。Only tiny technology that can draw and
Thank you so much to Liu Xiao. And I also believe that during the latter portion of our program, we will be able to have more of a dialogue. So if you have specific questions, you can bring them up at that time. So our final presentation before our DCADP presentation is from ZHONG Ling. ZHONG Ling is the Deputy Director General of the Sichuan Museum. She will be presenting educational philosophy and practices of the Sichuan Museum. Please join me in welcoming ZHONG Ling.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is ZHONG Ling, Deputy Director General of Sichuan Museum in China. 10 years ago, I visited Chicago, visited Field Museum of Natural History and the Art Institute of Chicago. I was deeply impressed by the city's architecture and artistic vibe. So it's my great honor to be here at this beautiful University of Chicago to share with you today. My presentation is every museum is a school in itself, philosophy and practices by Sichuan Museum. I will introduce the educational philosophy and practices of Sichuan Museum, highlights initiatives such as the courses and the program for K-12 and mobile museum outreach, as well as a smart education platform. Demonstrate how Sichuan Museum serves as both an educational institution and a lifelong learning hub, contributing to public education and cultural heritage conservation. First is about courses and programs for K-12. So let me introduce my museum. Sichuan, located in southwest China, is one of the cradles of the Yangtze River civilization. And the province is widely known for pandas and spicy food. And Chengdu is a capital of this province. It has a population of over 23 million. Founded in 1941, Sichuan Museum has a collection of 350,000 artifacts. Most of them are from archaeological objects and some of art objects. So actually, my museum is one of the top 15 museums co-supported by both central and local resources. It's the largest comprehensive museum in southwest China. In 2015, in collaboration with the Sichuan Provincial Institute of Education Sciences, we established the Sichuan Museum Education Research Institute, focusing on youth museum education and curriculum development. This initiative has created a long-term mechanism between museums and schools, setting a benchmark for museum education across the country. Through this platform for innovation, Sichuan Museum has formed stable partnerships with over 200 primary and middle schools, promoting teachers' professional development, broadening students' horizon, and inspiring critical thinking through museum-based courses. So let's take a look at the collection of the Sichuan Museum, including the bronze wares from 3,100 years ago to more than 20 years ago. It's bronze wares and the collection of Han Dynasty. Most of objects from Han Dynasty are made as funeral objects. So it includes pictorial bricks, stone carvings, pottery figurines. Yeah, it reflects the material lives and the spiritual world of the Han people. And we have a wonderful Buddhist stone carvings from 3rd century to 9th century. It's a Northern and Southern dynasties. Gesar Tanka from 17th to 19th centuries. And we have Dunhuang paintings of the Song dynasties. And we have Dunhuang copies made by famous artist Zhang Daqian. And we have made research with comparative research with Dunhuang Academy. So let's take a look at the short video on pictorial. Yep. Good.
画面里面，一座有台阶的大房子，2扇大门紧闭，房上的瓦楞清晰可见，房顶上有2个大气窗，台基与地面有石阶梯连接，房子两侧还有2只瑞鸟在空中盘绕飞翔。房前左侧有一个头上戴冠、身着长袍的人跪坐于席，一只手向前伸出。房前右侧，一肩负鸠杖的老者跪在地上，探头望着前面地上的一只口袋，神情十分认真专注。老者的对面，一个赤足短裤者手捧一环底量器，弯腰向地上的袋中倒入东西。而在他身后不远的地上，还分别放有一个筐状和一个桶状容器。这幅砖画定格的是东汉四川一幕普通的生活场景，而画面中的人物行为似乎蕴藏了更多难以解读的信息，画砖的内容传递出更为深远。
Another video on morning tree. Okay. 哦，哎，共建没有。这儿，哦，行。
这棵青铜摇钱树是西南地区东汉至三国晚期流行的一种具有浓郁地方特色的器物，由树座和青铜树组成。摇钱树底座2个神兽为有翼神兽，底座凸起的形状似一座小山，底座之上矗立着挂满方孔圆钱的神树。青铜树枝干共分5层。天马、朱雀、玉兔、青鸟、越人分饰于上，而最引人注目的，则是被簇拥在中心的西王母形象。这些带有神性的形象，虽然形制较小，却暗示了仙界的一个盛大场景。
Okay, only 2 videos. So let's take an example to understand Sichuan's museum's curricula in more details. The Han Dynasty, lasting from 202 BC to 220 AD, was almost contemporaneous with the Roman Empire. The artifacts from this period originally made as funeral objects, including pictorial bricks, stone carvings, and pottery figurines, reflecting the material lives and spiritual world of the Han people. The Han Dynasty cultural artifacts curriculum system delivers educational value through 4 key approaches. Primarily, interdisciplinary integration. The curriculum fosters competencies across multiple domains, including art, history, and technology, promoting holistic development. Secondary, interactive experiences, hands-on and brains-on activities like paper rubbing making, setting up Dougong revive Asian handcraftsmanship, encouraging young learners to appreciate classical art and deepen their embodied understanding. Personalized customization courses are tailored to different cognitive development stages, offering specialized programs for preschools, primary and middle school students. Finally, immersive teaching environments. The museum creates multi-dimensional educational settings on-site, school-based, and through field trips, allowing students to move simple knowledge acquisition to practical application in cultural heritage education. Another example is the Beauty of Asian Architecture, launched in 2018 for primary school students. The curriculum integrates history, engineering, and art studies. Students analyze Han Dynasty portrait bricks, pottery tower models, and architectural replicas to understand the structural principles and functional layouts of Asian buildings. Aligned with the 7th grade history curriculum, the museum has designed a series of learning worksheets. These worksheets help students explore Han Dynasty cultural relics from multiple perspectives and use cross-cultural interpretation methods to compare them with other classical civilizations of the world, such as ancient Egypt and ancient Greece. Yeah, this is the one of the worksheets for 7th grade history curriculum. So actually it was originally launched in almost 10 years ago in 2015. This is another one, worksheets for primary school. Also, Sichuan is home to 465 museums, but cultural development remains uneven. Some cities, just like the capital of the Sichuan province, Chengdu, has more than 100 museums, but some cities have a few museums. So making it difficult for many people to experience museum culture. To address this, the Sichuan Museum launched Mobile Museum Initiative, bringing exhibitions to schools, villages, factories, and other underserved areas. That's the museum move. Over the past 13 years, Sichuan Museum's Mobile Museum has toured 137 sites, covering 230,000 miles and attracting over 1.6 million visitors. The museum unveils, integrates artifacts displays, multimedia interactions, and illustrated panels, featuring themes such as historical culture, intangible cultural heritage, and digital exhibitions. Each tour typically lasts 3 to 4 days, with primary and middle school students making up more than 50% of the audience. Across China, the mobile museums have flourished. Most museums now adopt traveling exhibitions to deliver cultural experiences to rural areas and schools. In recent years, these efforts have evolved to combine historical tourist trails with mobile exhibits, linking traveling exhibitions with immovable cultural relics along the routes. This approach enriches the cultural significance of a destination and enhances their appeal to visitors. So let's get the final sort of part. Actually, after years of development, the mobility of a mobile museum has evolved beyond just vehicles plus exhibition panels, with significant changes in the elements and forms of their outreach. So What follows out is the Central Museum's strengths and resources, while what follows in is the overall enhancement of museum development standards. So the final part is a smart education platform, and Sichuan Museum has also embraced smart education. Lebo Discovery has launched a mini program on social media WeChat, offering art education courses for audiences aged 12 and above. Through 4 engaging courses, users explore artistic design principles reviewed in museum collections, focusing on color, line, and form. Through a partnership with the Sichuan Educational Technology Center, Sichuan Museum has digitized its collection for the provincial smart education platform, enabling 9.6 million students, primary and middle school students, and 600,000 teachers to seamlessly access museum resources. So it highlighted initiatives such as K-12 curriculum programs, mobile museum outreach, and smart education platforms. I'm trying to demonstrate how Sichuan Museum serves as both an educational institution and a lifelong learning hub, and contributing uniquely to public education and cultural heritage conservation. That in our rapidly changing community, museums not only safeguard and transmit cultural legacy, but also ignite public curiosity for learning, fostering social harmony. Moving forward, museums will continue to play a pivotal role in education, solidifying their position as vital spaces for lifelong learning for all. So that's my presentation. Thank you so much.
Something. Go ahead.
Thank you so much to our 3 presenters for their wonderful presentations. So finally, I would like to invite Professor ZHONG Ling, as well as ZHONG Ling, our center's postdoctoral fellow, both to discuss our Dispersed Chinese Art Digitization Project, also known as DCADP. While they are getting the text back up for us, I will share that launched in 2019, our Dispersed Chinese Art Digitization Project seeks to document, preserve, and digitally restore artifacts taken from important cultural sites in China, placing them back into their original historical and spatial contexts. So I'm excited for you to hear more from Professor Lin as well as Dr. Cao.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all for coming to U Chicago. Actually, is this working? Maybe I should speak to that one. I'll speak to the podium. All right. Okay. Thank you all for coming to U Chicago. My name is Menge. I'm the postdoc scholar at the center, working mostly on the Dispersed Chinese Art Digitization Project. So just to give you an overview, this is a multi-year project led by University of Chicago's Center for the Art of East Asia Study, and in collaboration with Xi'an Jiaotong University, we are generously funded by Cyrus Tang Foundation for this project. So our main thing, we try to digitally reconstruct Chinese heritage sites by reuniting artifacts dispersed in global collections. By estimation, we have about 30 partnerships, and then we are still growing with different museums, cultural heritage sites, and also with academic institutions. We have 3 pillars in our main vision. So the first one is digital culture. So we ourselves are cultivating a critical awareness of the digital technology and also infrastructure that we are using to ensure accessibility and also sustainability. And also we look for the spirit of collaboration, fostering a consortium of museums, research institutions, and heritage sites to work together. And third, we promote a public understanding of dispersed cultural heritage and then try to create new relationship between people and the sites. This is just a broad scope of how we come here. So our project started very early on, 2026. We have pilots project focusing on the Xiangtangshan and Tianlongshan project. Starting from 2019, after we received the grant from Sarah's Tang Foundation, we launched 6 projects. I know it's very ambitious, but we do have each year we have a focus. So we have, like in terms of the date, we have as early as the Northern Wei, Beiwei dynasty all the way to the Ming dynasty. And mostly our sites are, as you can see here, are along the Taihang Mountain in the Hubei area. Our impacts include, we do have a public-facing website that most our research and then public-facing content are launched here. There are some interactive exhibitions, articles. We also have a open access database where we have the video, 3D models, images included there for research purposes. We do also organize academic conferences every year focusing on a specific project within these 6. And then we have like technical workshops. This one, as you can see here, in a different room, but at UChicago here. And in the future, we're planning for exhibition as well, working either with a museum and also ourselves are developing curatorial content. So just quickly, our workflow, we started from drafting agreement with museum. So the agreement are tailored to the partner's need, and then it will be reviewed by our university's like administration. And then second, we'll use our high accuracy, high resolution scanner to do the scanning. Within 6 months, we usually return the raw data and also process data back to the museum. And then we use a secured transfer and then repository method for the data, following standard practices. And then last, once we have the digital reconstruction, is usually a composite like model from different data from different sources. Then we share it to the partners within our consortium, so everyone can get a slice of the pie. And then also, based on the museum need, we can also prototype some of the application for the museum use. Okay, now I'm going to walk you through one of our project. This is a Zhihua Temple in Beijing. The temple originally, it has 2 copper ceilings. So during the late 1930s, one of the copper ceiling was removed and shipped to Nelson Akin Museums in Kansas City. So our team, one team has been scanning the remaining interior structure in the Wanfege, the second floor of here in the second floor. And then the other team are scanning the coffered ceiling installed in the Chinese gallery, Temple Gallery at Nelson Akin Museum. So through archival research and also some technical analysis, the team managed to reverse engineer the construction method of that ceiling. And then once they have that 3D model as well as the interior structure, they managed to put it in like the using 3D modeling to combine them together. But of course, we also have to conduct a lot of research to study how each part cohere with each other. This is kind of and then we started to put texture on it and then started to render more light, thinking about what paraphernalia, what part are included in that environment. So for another example I want to give is a bit different. So it's about digital restoration. So mainly we are focusing on the imperial relief, emperor and empress relief on the entrance wall of the Binyang Central Cave, which was created during the Northern Wei early 5th century. So that wall, as you can see here, it's also in the late 1960s. The relief has been removed, and then one of them was shipped to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The other one is at the Nelson Akin Museum. So this is one that currently installed in the Nelson's gallery. But just to say, what are you looking at? This is actually heavily restored because original, when the thing come to the museum, is only about 30% of content, the fragments on it. But back then, the conservator decided to restore everything, to put the infill in it, to make it look as whole again. So our team has, based on the photographs, so we trace these original fragments and then start to map it on a 3D scan of the current relief. And then by studying the historical rubbings and photographs, applying these coordinates on these scans, we managed to propose a newly restored version of the relief. All right, so I know I've been talking pretty fast, but I want to say that after all these, what are we doing really? Like for sure, we can say that this is a digital reconstruction, but I think, not I think, Professor Ling's idea, we are doing something more than digital restructure. So I want to propose this. We review the interconnectedness of all these fragments, and we are telling a history of defragmented art history. Because the art history that we know a lot of times are fragmented objects entering a museum, get isolated from their original context. But how can we reimagine a defragmented art history, thinking them in relation to each other? So for this visualization, need a little bit of explanation. So it's kind of a preliminary visualization of the idea of Indra's net. So this is coming from Huayan school of Buddhism. Indra's net, imagine that there's a net with a lot of jewels on each part of on the net. Each jewels, there's a reflection of another jewel. So everything, you can see one thing in the infinite kind of amount of reflections. I'm using it here, the example that you do see the ceiling here, and then also just a photo of myself. But the visualization in these like jewels, interconnected jewels, you can see both myself, the photos, and also that model of the ceiling. So you can see an infinite kind of a reflection in it. I know that sounds very abstract, but let me show you something more concrete. So this is a prototype we've been working with. I have problem with a bit, let's see, virtual tool not supported. Here, I need to use Chrome, I think. This is not supported. And how come?
You tried launching Chrome. You got any idea?
All right, so let me try this. Use your cell phone then. Let me just jump forward. If you scan that link here with your cell phone, you will be able to open up a browser. And then probably I know that without not showing on the screen, it's a little bit difficult to explain that browser to you, but let me just explain that what you're gonna see here. So here, what you're seeing is that gallery of Nelson ICOM-Museum gallery. If you click the little link, like close to the mural, what you're gonna open is it makes that artwork as a teleport. You will be transported into the Guangsheng Temple, where you do see the two murals on both sides of it. And then if you choose to look up on the app, you see the copper ceiling. You click it, then you'll be transported into that digital reconstruction of that Zhihua Temple. And then you probably will notice that within these spaces, you will see Lawrence Sickman, the curator who actually stand in the very Guangsheng Temple there in the 1934. I have an image of him standing in there. Of course, this is a prototype, but the ideal is that artwork in this application became a portal that connects Nelson Akin Gallery and also the Guangsheng Temple or the Zhihua Temple. And then you have the Liu Dunzhen, the architectural historian who studied these things, and also Lawrence Sickman there. He will be almost like a virtual agent telling you the story, how the thing's been found and how it ended up in the museum. So the very idea like I want to show in this application is that what we can reconstruct is not only just the place. We are trying to connect actually the people and then time and places like in history. So this is something what we want to call it like defragmented art history. I'm sorry that I'm not like somehow it's not gonna show in the browser here, but play with it on your app, and then I'm actually happy to take any question like after that. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Munga, for your presentation. So now I would like to turn things over to the group. This is our open discussion time. So we have about 35 minutes here that we can begin discussion. And then together we will move over to the Cochrane Woods Art Center, where we will have a catered dinner in the Quack Lounge. And I hope that we can continue discussion and conversation. But to begin things within this space, I'm wondering if anyone has a question or if there are any opportunities for further discussion.
Hi, GM from the Heritage Museum of Asian Art. Thanks for the presentation. It's very interesting to hear people from China have different perspectives, like, the state museums and their private museums. I was, just thinking about how their nonprofit in the United States are facing right now with the cut-out fundings and such things. I was wondering, like, how the state museum in China, how the funding was, used, and is there any requirements from the founders, like, to push the museum to do certain works, and also as well as for the private Wadang Museum, like what is the situation there?
Okay, I will stand here. Thank you for the question. In China, it's quite different. It's two systems, like those national supported museum, like Sichuan Provincial Museum. They have a kind of set it fund every year. I'm not sure about what it is in your museum, but it's a lot. Normally, it's just for the whole operational fund. For example, like the salaries for employees and for a set amount for exhibitions. But if for the revenue that you generated by yourself for museum shops, it's another kind of income. When some of the museum, when you get more, you just have to pay it back to the central government. You do not have the right to use it because it's two different lines. We get our own budget 1 year ahead. We report it, and after that we get it. But for another fund, we just have a lot of, for example, like this kind of Suzhou Museum who sells great, but no matter what they have every year, they just have to give it back to the central government. So it's different kind of line. But for those private museums, yes, they are very hard. Normally in China, the 33% of the private museum right now, especially after COVID-19, they're very hard, especially for those kind of museums without the support from an organization or maybe from a company. That will be much harder for them to have those kind of daily operation. But this Wadang Museum sells very good products and they host very good activities. Those kind of things just serve the local community better, that people comes back. I think this is kind of two ways. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay.
And I also wonder if maybe we could learn more about private museums. So we, in terms of government funds, but in a non government-funded museum. I wonder if maybe we could hear more about those practices.
还是用中文回答。是这样子的，中国虽然目前非国有博物馆已经占有很大的数量，但是运营的情况，确实是不太好的。中国非常多的非国有博物馆是面临着运营的困难。那我们呢，当然就要就是正式的面对这个困难，然后想办法去解决它。与美国不太一样的是，在中国为一个博物馆去设立基金会、理事会或者是董事会是很困难的，因为很少有就是就是优秀的企业家，他们愿意去参与到这件事情上来。我们认为它主要有2个方面，第一个方面就是我们非国有博物馆没有充分的把自己这个博物馆的意义和价值传递出去，让更多的就是社会人士参与进来。第二呢，是我们就是非国有博物馆在运营的体制上面，就是我们的运营的这个机制建立上面是有一定的就是缺点的。那我们想要完善它，比如说我们的馆在建立这个博物馆之初的时候，就要去考虑到它在未来的10年当中，什么时候可以以这样一个做博物馆去承担我们博物馆员工的工资，还有日常关于展览的费用。所以大家会看到，我们一方面呢是要就是去做研究领域的一些探讨，就是因为有足够的经费，我们才能去让我们更深入的或者更准确的去研究。但是另外一方面，我们也知道，其实资金。就是我们说的钱这个东西，还是要先在我们研究之前需要给到我们。那我们呢，就是还好的是，中国我觉得近十年来有一个很好的产业，就是我们说的文创产业，是一个消费力很大的。就是刚才艾老师提到，就苏州博物馆的文创的销售是非常大的，几乎它的一个博物馆的就1年光文创的销售的费用都已经可以足以它一个馆的全年的一个运营支出了。当然，非国有博物馆它最大的问题在于它的文物、它的藏品是普通人不太知道的，它没有那么有名，所以不会有人突然就是民众会很快的去购买你的东西。那就像刚才我们就会要想到，我们需要去做一些转化，我们要做到让大家就熟悉它、喜欢它，然后呢成为它的粉丝，我们说 fans， 就我们的博物馆目前在做这些类似于这种就是这种产品还有这种符号的时候，我们在网络上其实吸引了一些很多的粉丝。刚才艾老师提到，就是在就是景德镇有一个博物馆，他们有一个佛的这个形象，它是有一个事件，这个事件的发生，一下子就给这个博物馆带来了非常大的一个我们说的叫流量，然后也同时带来了比较可观的我们说的叫商业的价值。那我们非国有博物馆现在目前是需要走到这样一条路的，但是如何去平衡我们的公共教育研究的权威性和我们还可以在就是运营就是资金的获取上面可以做到就是比较的优秀吧，就是那这个是我们现在要探讨的问题，也是我们一直在做的努力啊，就是希望我们的馆就是能在中国的非国有博物馆的这个领域里面，可以起到一个开创者的作用，或者是榜样者的作用。那我们现在其实已经在有一些收入了，不过我们还是大部分还是要依靠我们博物馆就前期筹办者捐赠的资金。不过我们已经慢慢的，像我们刚才说，我们甚至还有咖啡馆。我们的咖啡馆呢，也是基于我们博物馆的这个就是藏品的这个文化概念所衍生出来的。他们已经在慢慢的就是有规律性的去为我们在返还资金了。希望在未来的5年内，我们就可以实现收支平衡啊，大概这样，谢谢。
Thank you again for the wonderful presentations. I have two questions. One is, I know like some museums right now, like public museums, like Shanghai Museum, they started to have touring exhibitions that will actually charge a fee of entrance, which is actually pretty high. And usually the tickets are sold out very quickly, even like months ago before the opening of the exhibition. So I wonder what kind of role would these, public museums hosting maybe touring exhibitions that will charge a fee kind of thing, like be like in the future of Chinese museums. And the second question is about I know like Ms. ZHONG Ling talked about the public K-12 education programs and curriculum at Sichuan Museum. And as a maybe like a PhD student here, and I also led like TA programs or teach classes at the College of the University of Chicago. And we would usually want to maybe invite students to go to the local like Art Institute of Chicago and other local museums to maybe to have one class session there in the gallery. So I wonder what kind of teaching or education opportunities do the maybe the local museums provide for college students in China? Because I went to Fudan as a college undergrad, and at that time we didn't have too much offerings for maybe for all the college students taking maybe Chinese history or Chinese art history as a liberal art required course, but rather it's like an opportunity reserved primarily for people specializing or majoring in art history. So I wonder what are the other education programs we can have for college students in China. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. But before answer your questions, I'd like to give you more details about public museum, especially that's one of the top 50 museum co-supported by central and provincial governments, just like so actually last year Sichuan Museum received about 230 million RMB of income. Among them, 120 million RMB from governments, both central governments and provincial governments, because Sichuan Museum is a provincial museum. So actually, this incomes from governments covers salaries for about 400 staffs. And for conservation of artifacts and exhibitions and public programs. Another income is that's 120 million RMB from cultural creative industry. Sichuan Museum has a luxury hotel, high profile restaurant, and museum shops where there are one is inside the Sichuan Museum, and other two are in the two airports in Chengdu. But, as you know, and Chengdu, one of three cities that has two international airports. The city has a population of over 23 million people. Yeah, so there's income. So there's a public museum play an important role in conservation of artifacts, as we have 350,000 artifacts. Even though we have just some special programs from central and provincial governments. We have a lot of Asian paintings and calligraphy, these artifacts. It will not be conserved well within a few years. So that's one question for you.
Imagine making revenues are encouraged by the government and to outside the funding from the government. but also, you making revenues are encouraged. And so maybe like respond to you, like, are you free to use those fundings?
Almost all of incomes from cultural creative industries will contributed to provincial government. Provincial governments, just like the hotel incomes. That will be collected and administered by the central government. Yeah. But it's public resource. Some touring exhibitions, some of temporary exhibitions charged about 50 or 60 yuan, or some educational programs charged. But it's a small percentage of income that will be be invested in more programs, just like the mobile museum outreach. Actually, all of spendings are supported by Sichuan Museum. Yeah. Public education for college. So actually, we have education program for college and postgraduate students. That's mostly on research. Actually, we will recruit volunteers from colleges and universities in Chengdu, and for that's a volunteer interpretation on weekends and summer holidays and winter holidays. Actually, in addition to volunteer interpretation, and we will recruit some students who majored in archaeology, art, education. That's on the curriculum development and some artifacts conservation. But this there are about dozens of students from universities and colleges that will worked in Sichuan Museum for 2 months or a whole summer holidays. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I will explain more about those kind of traveling exhibitions, right? Okay, for the traveling exhibitions, let me start from the very kind of background information first. The government who is running all the museums in China is called National Administration of Cultural Heritage, and they have those kind of museum regulations. And in that regulations, it said we have to evaluate it, all those museums. So we, Chinese Museum Association, is responsible for this kind of accredited museum for the whole 7,000 museums. So in that standard or something, we encouraged museums like ZHONG Ling's museum and all the other accredited museums to invite the exhibitions in and sending exhibitions out. They have credits. Every 3 years, we will have those kind of operational assessment every 3 years. And right now, we're going to release the report in this International Museum Day. Everyone cares, especially for the large museums, like ZHONG Ling cares a lot, right? Because we are going to release the rankings. The ones for outstanding is just a small portion, but for the ones qualified, it's a lot. And we even have the one unqualified. For the unqualified, they will not be A, they will just B or C. That because it's a little bit humiliating when we release the rankings. So especially for the directors, it cares a lot. So this is the background information. Since those kind of credits is important, so the museums will try to send exhibitions out and get exhibitions in. For example, like Shandong Provincial Museum, right? They have invited the Napoleon Museum's exhibition somewhere last year. So for that kind of the exhibitions, all the costs will be kind of invested by the museums. Some of them maybe from the government and some maybe not. For those kind of costs, the tickets will support a lot. Yeah, so we encourage them to do so. For example, like the Egyptian exhibitions in Shanghai, it's quite something because they've been doing a lot communication work, ads, and some cooperation with L companies. So and the museum shop and some collections, how to say, craft things they made are quite special because when you step into the museum, that you can buy it, not just everywhere you can buy it. So it's kind of like the Suzhou, because I checked my WeChat previously. I think in last year they have been, the income of the museum workshop museum shop is about 12.5 million US dollar. So it's quite a lot. So if you just pay so much money back to the central not it's city government, that means for the next year, when you report your budget, they will just think about it. Yeah, yeah.
下四川博院的具体做法。Let me share this what the Sichuan Museum, I'm sorry, has done. So actually last year, 2024, and Sichuan Museum has cooperated with International Museum for two touring exhibitions. One is Russian paintings. Another is Marco Polo from Italy, because last year was the 700th anniversary of Marco Polo's passed away. Yeah. So actually that's just an example of a Sichuan Museum. So we have a lot of cooperations and attracting excellent exhibitions from different countries to exhibit in Sichuan Museum and let the audience in Chengdu or in Sichuan province to know more details about the different civilization and cultures. But in addition to attracting exhibitions from other countries, we are just cherishing the opportunities to introduce Chinese civilization to international counterparts. So this time, actually in March, our Party Secretary Mr. Xiang from Sichuan Museum visited New York and Chicago. And in 2 months, I came to visit the US and had exchanges with museums in Los Angeles. Actually, I have a wonderful exchanges with the Getty Center and the LACMA, Los Angeles County Art Museums. LACMA, yeah. So LACMA and the Bowers Museum, we talk about Asian sports culture exhibitions and Zhang Daqian works. And so actually that's this very wonderful collections from Sichuan Museum. The Getty Center and LACMA and the Bowers Museum are very interested in. So we have built active connections between us, and we are looking forward to have the cooperation between these museums. Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for wonderful presentations. I learned so much. I'm Seung-hee Oh. I'm a curator at the Art Institute of Chicago. I also have a question about the traveling exhibition. I know every museum has different time frame and calendar for preparing loans or for traveling exhibition. And our institute is particularly conservative about traveling exhibition. It's only very recent they realized it's a good business for like many institutions across the institutions. But if we go through exhibition department, it might take 5 years in preparation. And recently we went through collections in Luan, so we could manage in 1.5 years with the Palace Museum. And it just opened in April. But I know that many Chinese museums and East Asian museums in general, the budget is usually like annually done. So even 1.5 years is really tight for us, while it's kind of beyond the fiscal calendar in China or other some other countries. So I'm curious about kind of ideal time frame for traveling exhibition planning. I know somewhere like MFA Boston, they have a separate department designated for traveling exhibitions, so they can operate things very fast. But conservative institution like our institute, we are still figuring out what to do with the traveling exhibition. So I want to hear like 1 year is still very difficult for us. It's nearly impossible. So in terms of budgeting and planning, what can be a kind of practical time frame for cooperation?
Okay, actually, Miss Miss Dai is from Shandong Provincial Museum, and she's the vice director of the curatorial department. I think she will be the ideal person to answer this practical question.
Yeah, it is a good question, because when I'm a fellow at the Film Museum. When I was visiting the Film Museum and I work at the exhibition department, I went to my that is the traveling exhibitions director, and I talked to her about the traveling exhibition at the US. It's quite different from China, you know. That from my perspective and from my experience, while I was curating the international traveling exhibitions at my museum, last year we curated the Napoleon exhibition that was curated by me, and the year before last year, that is 2023, I curated an exhibition from the V&A from London that is telling about some kind of artworks from the Renaissance period to the Victorian period. Such kind of exhibitions, it takes about 1 year beforehand before we started to put it on. So we do think that if we are going to bring in a kind of exhibition, you know that in the year 2016, when we are bringing the Roman internal city, the splendors of ancient Rome, that exhibition took us 3 years before we started that exhibition, because we could curate it with 4 museums in the whole China. It traveled from one venue to another venue. And when it came to my venue, we are the 3rd venue. So we started from choosing the objects from the very beginning. So we started the project from 2012, but we exhibited the object in my museum in 2016. So it takes quite a long time. And as for the exhibitions that we are traveling abroad, last year we traveled an exhibition. It's not abroad in Hong Kong, but Hong Kong is also to China is an international exhibition. So when we traveled that exhibition to Hong Kong, we planned it very late. But according to the rules in China, if you are going to giving a traveling exhibition to abroad, you have to prepare, handing all the documents maybe six months earlier before you do the traveling exhibition. So you know that is a kind of we are in a rush at that time. But finally we made it, and we started that object. It seems that in February after the Chinese New Year, but we exhibited the object that exhibition at the time in May. So quite a short period, but it's a rare occasion for us to do that. If we are going to make an exhibition that is exhibited in US, we do think that we can start it earlier, 3 years earlier. That would be better. Thank you.
English or Chinese? Both. Either. 也许用中文是不是还方便一点？那个我是在东亚系的教中国考古。Should I English or Chinese? Anyway, 那个尤其疫情以后去国内的博物馆 ，I'll translate later 感觉比较惊讶的是，国际的展览现在比以前多，非常的多。那我就很感兴趣的是，这个是什么时间开始的？是不是政策上头有一些鼓励？我的印象比较清楚的是，国博成立了以后，很有意识的去做一些国际上面的大的展览。那么这个趋势最近是不是又因为政策的鼓励，所以好像各个省都开始有国际的比较大的国际展览？就不知道能不能解释一下政策上面有什么样的转变？另外，哪一些博物馆有资格办国际的展览？另外，是不是也有同样的？因为出国的展览会经过很多的审查的程序，那展览进到国内是不是也有类似的一些把关的做法？I'll translate. I've been impressed by all the international exhibitions in China, especially after the pandemic. And there's a rise of these numbers of exhibits, international exhibits in different places, especially in different provinces. I think Shanghai is the one, Beijing is where you regularly see international exhibits. But you mentioned in Shandong, you're also doing international exhibits. So I'm wondering if there's any conscious decisions made at the government level encouraging international exhibitions, and how that's changing the scene of museum exhibitions. And also I wonder if there's a similar sort of monitoring system, monitoring exhibitions coming into China, which is that this monitoring system is certainly very prevalent when things are being exported and exhibited outside of China. So that's sort of my question. If there's a major policy shift at the top level to make this happen. 我另外还有一个附带的问题，就是我们在国内看博物馆的时候，比较惊讶国内观众的在博物馆的一些行为，都经常其实挺骇人听，我看到会吓一跳的。我当时就想说，恐怕博物馆必须做一个教育观众怎么样在博物馆要怎么样去 behave 的这样子的一个有意识的教育的 program， 才能够去，比如说观众整个人会靠到柜子上头，手要总要抹在玻璃柜上，然后另外就是小孩在博物馆里面跑来跑去，甚至上海的埃及博物馆的展览，有些东西是露在外面的，人家手就上去摸了。这种行为在从我们的博物馆的习惯到中国去看这样的展览的时候，挺吓人的。我有时候都忍不住想制止观众，但这个东西的改变必须靠博物馆的教育，恐怕不是一般的大众参观博物馆的人会意识到的，因为这似乎已经成了一个文化了，就几乎每个博物馆都看到这样的事情，所以我就特别想提出来，大家从事博物馆的人能不能够想出一个教育的平台，来提醒观众在博物馆应该要怎么样 behave。The other question I had is that when I was visiting all these museums, this was the past summer, it's always packed. There are so many people visiting the museum, but the behavior from the audience can be frightening. They lean into the case, they touch the object, they leave handprints all over the glass cases. And I think this requires a special kind of education program coming from the museum. It's becoming such a common behavior in China. This needs to be corrected, but not, it needs some directed programs from the museum instead of teaching, I don't know, teaching at school probably wouldn't work. So I'm hoping this is something the museums in China would pay attention to and maybe re-educate the audience when they go visit the museum. There are certain things you may want to follow, certain behavior you may want to pay attention to. Thank you.
Okay. In English or in Chinese? Okay. Okay, actually, the policy is quite encouraging all the museums to do more this kind of traveling exhibition outside China or inviting exhibitions in. It is just very important for the museum directors to have the thoughts, have the kind of vision by thinking those kind of things are important. Because like Miss ZHONG Ling, she already trying to connect with Getty and the LACMA for the exhibitions in 2020.
2028
yeah.
Olympic Games in Los
Yeah,
Angeles.
yeah, for museums like this, that's 3 years in advance. So I think there are plenty of time to organize everything. Yes, it's quite complicated in China when we're sending exhibitions out and inviting exhibitions in. We have to put on everything into records. It's not asking for permission exactly, but we have to put everything on records in advance. So there's a lot of procedures, especially when there's some high valued collections you want to send out. There's some complicated procedures. Yeah. But right now, each museum is qualified for hosting all those exhibitions. The funding is the key. Yeah, if you are available in budget, that will be quite optimistic for them to host an exhibitions or sending exhibitions out. But if you do not have enough fundings for inviting exhibitions, the National Administration of Cultural Heritage. Yeah, but if it's normal sized exhibitions, I think only the city, because each city or each provincial administration of cultural heritage will have those kind of department by running these kind of issues. So I think that will be not a big deal. But for some high standard exhibitions, I mean, maybe like hundreds of pieces of objects were related in an exhibitions, well, that will be a little bit complicated. Yeah, I would like to talk about the second questions for audience education. I will I will think about because we have large population, especially in those kind of national holiday, vacation. That will be hundreds and thousands of people coming over, and the number is yes, it's very frightening, especially for one day, like the Shanxi History Museum. Actually, the old building is designed for 6,000 people, 6,000 visits a day. But eventually, when they are having those kind of um, actually, they have a system online. You have to reserve your tickets before, even it's for free. But they have like 20,000, more than 20,000, 200,000 click on that system. This just make everything doesn't work anymore. So they have a lot of bad feedback from the audiences. But they have no other way. They have to open, and eventually they have 20,000 people a day. Yeah, 2万. Yeah, 2万人 a day. So that will all the staff have to keep working. For like the terracotta museums, they have to terracotta warriors museums during that national holiday. They even forced to open until very late time and open very earlier than regular time. I think it's 7 or something. They have already opened because the audiences is too much for them. But for the audiences education, I think in countries like China, because all the audiences are different, especially in educational background, we want to do things more like Chinese Museum Association. We have the youth professional committee. I mean, they are composed by all the young museum professional. We want to do something, especially for the children. We want to start a program called the First Class in a Museum. Actually, we learned that from Suzhou Museum as well. They have those kind of cartoon figure by telling the children when they step into the museums and learn for those kind of educational programs, you have to behave by the cartoon figures to tell them to how to behave in a museum. So we just contribute our little let's say, energies on telling them how to behave and what is correct from the very small child. I think this is what we can do. But for the others, because the population is huge, we will set someone standing behind the objects or behind the showcase to let them know, do not do that, do not do that. But, you know, too many people. Yeah, it's very hard to control. Yeah. Okay. Anyone want to share? Yeah.
Me. Let me answer your question. First question. Actually, I'm the Secretary General of Sichuan Museums Association. So I know more details about overall museums in Sichuan. So actually, every museum is qualified for to creating an international exhibition. Actually, it's a little bit difficult for this museum in cities because of that's a short of budget and curators who knows international counterparts and have channels to work with them. So actually, a lot of provincial museums hold 2 to 3 international exhibitions every year. Not from 29, actually, since the free admission to audience since 2008. A lot of the Chinese museum met a rapidly developing trend, but right now a lot of provincial museums has missions to bring international exhibitions to local audiences. And the ladies, let's talk about how long was curating for international museum. Actually, I can share an example from Sichuan Museum. Last June, I visited National Museum Gourmet, National Museum of Gourmet of Asian History in Paris, France. So after 3 months, the president of Gourmet, Ms. Lin, visited Sichuan and signed strategic agreements with the Sichuan Museum. And now I'm curating there's an Asian bronzeware exhibition in Gourmet from July 1st through 3rd next year. So just 18 months. Now bringing Sanxingdui, Jingsha, and the Asian Shu bronzeware civilization to Gourmet, and we'll be touring Hungary, the museums. Yeah, so I think that will be depending on the intentions and ideas of directors between of both museums.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your contributions to our discussion. So we are just about a few minutes over time. So next, I would like to first thank you all for being here today. In addition, thank you so much to the Pritzker Art Collaborative, as well as the Chinese Museum Association for co-sponsoring today's event. Your collaboration is much appreciated appreciated, and we look forward to future opportunities to collaborate with you as well as our local museum partners based in Chicago. So with that, I would like to welcome everyone to head over to the Cochrane Woods Art Center, where we will have a dinner reception, and that will also give everyone more of an opportunity to mingle and discuss over food and wine. So join me in thanking everyone, especially our Chinese colleagues, for attending, and we will head over to Quack soon. Okay, thank you, everyone.